It was nearly Christmas. Annie and Clarabelle were packed full of people and parcels. Thomas was having very hard work pulling them. "Come on, come on!" the coaches grumbled. "We're feeling so cold. We're feeling so cold." Thomas looked at the hill ahead. "Can I do it?" Suddenly he saw a handkerchief waving from a cottage window. He felt better at once. He pulled his hardest and was soon resting in the station. Thomas's driver said to him, "That was Mrs. Kindley who waved to you, Thomas. She has to stay in bed all day."
"Oh, poor lady, I am sorry for her."
Engines have heavy loads at Christmas time, but Thomas and Toby didn't mind the hard work when they saw Mrs. Kindley waving. But then it began to rain. Thomas didn't like it. Mrs. Kindley couldn't wave on wet days. But whether she waved or not, they always whistled when they passed the little lonely cottage. Then, one day, Thomas's fireman said, "Hello, look at that." The driver came across the cab.
"Something's gone wrong there."
And there, hanging, flapping and bedraggled from a window of Mrs. Kindley's cottage, was something that looked like a large red flag.
"Mrs. Kindley needs help, I expect. Let's stop, Thomas."
And he put on the brakes, and Thomas gently stopped. The guard came squelching through the rain and mud up to Thomas's cab, and the driver pointed to the flag.
"See if there's a doctor on the train, and ask him to go to the cottage."
2 passengers left the train and climbed to the cottage. "Are you all right, Mrs. Kindley?"
"Oh, yes, thank you. It was silly of me to faint, wasn't it? But you saw the red dressing gown hanging out of the window, didn't you? Are you all safe?"
"Thank you, ma'am. I've just come to thank you. You know what, doctor? There's a landslide in the cutting. Mrs. Kindley saw it from the window, and she stopped us. She saved our lives."
"God bless you, ma'am." And the driver went back to the train. They cleared the line by Christmas Day, and the sun shone as a special train puffed up from the junction. The Fat Controller was there, and lots of other people who wanted to say thank you to Mrs. Kindley. The engines whistled and called out when they reached the cottage.
"Happy Christmas! Happy Christmas!"
The people got out and climbed to the cottage. Thomas and Toby wished they could go too. Mrs. Kindley's husband met them at the door. The Fat Controller, Thomas's driver, fireman and guard went upstairs to give her some presents. Mrs. Kindley was very pleased.
"You're very good to me."
And the Fat Controller said,
"Your passengers and I hope that you will accept these tickets for the South Coast, Mrs. Kindley. Now, I hope we've not tired you. Goodbye, and a happy Christmas."
Then, going quietly downstairs, they joined the group outside the window and sang some carols. Mrs. Kindley is now at Bournemouth, getting better every day, and Thomas and Toby are looking forward to the time when they can welcome her home.